What's up, everyone? Welcome into Around the Felt. Today, we get to talk about the Bears to round out our mini-series, touching on all 32 teams before the 2025 NFL season. I'm your host, Colin Tong. Joining me, as always, Reagan Loescher. Reagan, how we doing, brother?
I'm doing good. I'm ready to talk some Bear football. Da Bears.
The Bears, man. What an interesting team to talk about. Of course, with Caleb Williams and new head coach Ben Johnson. We're going to dive all into this team. MVP, X factors, the rookies, some fantasy football, all the good stuff. The Bears, 8.5 win total right now. Some additions to this ball club. Of course, the revamped offensive line, All-Pro Joe Thuney, Jonah Jackson, Drew Dalman, remodeling that interior of the offensive line. Adingbo on the defensive line with Grady Jarrett. And then, of course, their two first picks in the draft, Colston Loveland and Luther Burden, adding to the plethora of weapons at Caleb Williams' disposal. Schedule projected to be the 7th most difficult, as is the similar range with this entire division, because they all beat up on each other. Man, this Bears team, they could be damn good, or they could have a similar season to last year. I don't know, man. I'm seeing some progress here. What do you think for the Bears?
Yeah, I'm actually pretty high on them. I have them going 9-8 and just missing out on the playoffs. I would love to be higher on them, but this division is just so freaking good. It's kind of hard to just be like, oh, yeah, everything's going to be fixed with Ben Johnson. There will definitely be some growing pains. I think Caleb will take a big step forward. Obviously, between the draft and in free agency, they've made a huge effort and the trades to fix this offensive line, so that'll be nice to see. And you already highlighted, like, they brought in Loveland, they drafted Burden, so the receiver core seems to be pretty good still, and actually it's kind of interesting. It looks like Zacchaeus is slated to be in front of Burden right now. I saw he had a big play in the preseason, but yeah, that won't hold. And the defensive side of the ball, they definitely got some guys. I mean, Montez Sweat is a beast. Jaylon Johnson's a beast. I mean, Kevin Byard's still very good, even though he was not what he was in Tennessee. He's still a dog. So and the Edwards and Edmunds, in the middle, filling it out. I mean, they got a good, solid core here. It really comes down to a couple different, factors, but 9-8, I think they'll take a big jump. I think they're still a year out, personally, but I think similar to like what I was saying with the Patriots, where it's, a lot of positive things going forward with the, the quarterback hopefully taking that year 2 jump. I just think ultimately, it's just such a hard division, and the NFC is a lot better than it was a couple of years ago, where I think it's going to be tough for them to take that next step. But I think, hey, it still could be a wild card team. I mean, they're not going to beat the division. I don't think they have the horses to beat the Lions yet, but, I definitely think this team could be better. And I actually do have them, finishing second ahead of the Vikings and ahead of the Packers. So I definitely think, they're that caliber this year.
I agree with you in the sense that they're going to take a step forward. I have 8 and 9, but I have the Packers and the Vikings finishing ahead of them in this division. I think this division will have 3 teams in the playoff picture yet again, and the Bears missing out on that yet again. However, I think an 8-win season in Ben Johnson's first year, if that means Caleb Williams progressed, is a win for Bears fans and, for the franchise. Caleb, one thing he did well was protect the football, only with 6 picks last year, had 20 touchdowns. What he did not do well was, he was inaccurate down the field in particular, and he took a league-high 68 sacks.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of that was the offensive line. It was not a good unit. However,
that Seattle game we watched together was rough. He just wouldn't throw the ball away. He kept running backwards. So I understand the offensive line issues, but you and me both remember he may have got sacked like 10 times that game, but he definitely was not doing the offensive line any favors, where he would just turn around and it's not college. He just get rid
100%. Of it. He tries to play hero ball and holds on to the football and runs around and runs backwards. And you can make some unbelievable plays that way, but you also can ruin the entire drive if you take a 15-yard sack and then it's done. Now you got to run a screen or a draw to try to get some yardage back and punt the football, because you're not going to throw the ball 30 yards downfield with Caleb, right? 63% completion rate needs to go up, has to be better. 3,500 yards, solid. Still, no Bears quarterback has thrown for 4,000. Caleb Williams has all the talent in the world and all the weapons of the world now to do it, and I think there's a chance he does it this season. The offensive line was one of the worst run-blocking units last year, particularly up the middle. That's why you revamp it and bring in Joe Thuney, Jonah Jackson, and Drew Dalman. Should be a much-improved unit.
And our running back, Luke Newman.
And Luke Newman. That's why you drafted Luke Newman in the 6th round. Our guy, Luke Newman, been on the pod twice. I mean, he's the man. He was a dominant tackle at Holy Cross, then went to Michigan State, shifted inside, and was their best offensive lineman last year. When you have flexibility like that, and he's a tough-nosed motherfucker, I think he could be a gem in the 6th round, and I think he's a lock to make the roster. That's our guy, Luke Newman. Check out our interview with him before the NFL draft. He actually touched on his visit with the Bears and how cool it was being around Ben Johnson before the Bears ultimately took him in the draft. So that was really cool looking back on how he touched on that communication, how he had a good feeling about the Bears. So Bears fans, show some love. Show some love to our guy, Luke Newman. Hit him up on all socials. Give him a follow. Definitely a guy to keep an eye on to be a long-term building block on this offensive line. The running back
we'll
room.
We'll link that at the end of the video that you guys can click on it to listen.
100%. The running back room, Reagan, I do not like DeAndre Swift at all. Do you like Swift?
I don't mind Swift, but I just don't think that he is going to do, what he was drafted to be doing, drafted to be with Detroit. He never really lived up to it. He had one good year with Philly, but even then, it's just like, I don't think he'll ever be that. I mean, the team obviously really didn't have a huge investment. I mean, they got Manungai in the 7th from Rutgers, but I mean, Ben Johnson must feel pretty confident in the duo of him, Roschon Johnson, and I guess Kyle Monangai to not really go out and make a big splash trade or a signing or even draft someone, because they were a very popular team to be drafting, one of these top tier running backs in the draft, and they really never addressed it. But I like Manungai. He's interesting, but I'm not big on Swift now.
I do like Manungai. I'm taking Manungai in a ton of best ball drafts in the last round because I think there's a chance Swift loses a ton of workload, whether it be to Johnson or Manungai. Swift out of 55 backs last year, 41st in yards per carry, 49th in yards after contact, so he's not breaking any tackles, and 46th in runs of 10-plus yards, so he's also not that explosive anymore. So for me, Swift's in danger of losing his job. I want nothing to do with them. I have 0 shares in fantasy, and that's going to stay the same. Want nothing to do with DeAndre Swift. So I'm a little down in the running back room. I thought there was a chance they were going to take a running back with one of their first 2 picks. I mean, given the success that Jahmyr Gibbs had, picked 12th overall in Detroit, and how they really developed that run game with Ben Johnson. But, I'm happy with Loveland and Luther Burden getting into the receiver room here. I mean, Loveland was 100% held back by quarterback play at Michigan last year. In 2023, he was awesome with J.J. McCarthy. He's a freak athlete. He's got an insane catch radius. He makes plays over the middle of the field. He's good after the catch. And Ben Johnson wants to run a lot of 2 tight end sets, so him and Kmet can both coexist. And Loveland, without a doubt, is the better receiver of the 2. Luther Burden, I am very, very high on. I think he's going to be the starting slot, and I think he's going to take the Amon-Ra St. Brown role in this offense. I know he took a step back in 24 compared to 23 at Missouri. He was getting like top 10 buzz, but he forced a missed tackle on 49% of his receptions, so essentially half. Of course, that's the highest rate in the class. He's the 2nd youngest wide receiver in the class, so a lot of room for growth as well. And he ran a 4.41. He's got the speed. He's going to be their guy in the slot. Now, he's not going to have like a 70+% snap share because they will run a lot of 2 tight end sets and those 2 guys on the outside, DJ Moore and Odunze. But I think Luther Burden is going to be a stud in this offense. Very high on him, like where they got him in the draft. He was potentially going to be a first-round pick. DJ Moore definitely had a down year for his standards, still 98 catches for 966 yards. And Odunze, not what you wanted in your first year. However, more than a quarter of his targets were deemed inaccurate at the fault of Caleb Williams. And Odunze was getting the ball a shit ton down the field. Not a lot of easy receptions for him. So that held him back as well. I think Odunze can have a big bounce back here. And I really liked him coming out of Washington. This receiver core is just absolutely awesome.
I liked him a lot out of Washington. Like I was, for fantasy football, I was buying all the Rome stock prior to the draft, but now I'm a little nervous just with them going out and getting Burden and Loveland. It's just like now it gets to a point where there's so many mouths to feed, but I was super high on Rome in the draft. I was pretty upset my Jets last year didn't get him at 10.
Yeah, you were.
But yeah, I think he's going to be a beast.
Yeah, I'm high on Rome as well. I think he can have a good bounce back. I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying 1,000 yards this season from Rome, but definitely a big step from last year because Ben Johnson, his scheme will be significantly better than what they had in here last year. So I think all these wide receivers will benefit from that. I'm just curious, man. Like, DJ Moore with that big contract. I don't know. You have all these young bucks in here. Is DJ Moore still going to be the number one in your mind this season? And do you think he's still a Bear in 2027, 2026?
I don't see why not. I definitely think he'll be the number one. I mean, Caleb, he was Caleb's number one last year, so I don't see why he would lose that. And he's not that old that they're going to move on from him. I mean, unless they're like, we're super confident and Burden and Rome going forward and they can, there's a good trade for him. But I don't know. I definitely think he's there in 2027. But I can see that. I could definitely see them moving on from him if it's, makes sense where all these young guys develop like they expect. And it's like, hey, like we can clear up money to go address other issues on the, the offensive line or the defense, or maybe go get a top tier running back at some point in free agency.
Yeah, potentially in the cards here. I don't know, man. I'm not super high on DJ Moore going this year. I don't know why. I'm just buying into the young bucks on this offense. Defensively, they got some dudes, but they also have some problems. They were the second worst run D last year. However, their pass rush was better. 8th in pressure rate, 16th in sacks. Montez Sweat led the team with 5.5 sacks. His 14% pressure rate points towards him improving on that number. Gavon Dexter, Go Gators, has been solid on the interior. They took him in the second round a couple years back. Their linebacker tandem that they paid very handsomely a couple years ago in free agency, TJ Edwards and Tremaine Edmunds. It's a very good linebacker core. Secondary, Jaylon Johnson did take a slight step back last year after he got his money, but he's still a dog. I mean, I think he's still in that, 7 to 10 range of corners in the league right now.
I think you can make Casey's top 5.
You could. You could. I want to see more 2023 Jaylon Johnson compared to 2024, but yes, you can make that argument. Tyreek Stevenson also took a step back last year. He got torched a little bit. Kyler Gordon, solid out of Washington. Got a 3-year, $40 million extension for a reason. And then Kevin Byard and Jaquan Brisker's back after missing most of last season with a concussion. Safety out of Penn State, who's a dog. They took in the second round. So definitely a lot of good young players in the secondary, man. And, of course, the biggest thing for the Bears and why I see improvement is the coaching. Ben Johnson is – I can't – it's still asinine to me that Matt Eberflus had the opportunity to mold the first overall pick, generational tag, Caleb Williams. I can't believe they rolled with that. But, hey, it could work out in their benefit because Ben Johnson, the hottest coaching commodity on the market, decided to leave the division rival Lions to come to this team, obviously because he believes in Caleb Williams. And I think this offense will be night and day compared to last year.
Yeah.
All right, Reagan, with all of that being said, you got 9-8, I got 8-9. We both see improvement for Chicago this year, but who is your MVP?
Caleb Williams is my MVP for sure. I expect him to take a nice next step forward. I don't know if it'll be, the step forward that gets him into the playoffs, but I definitely think it's going to be the step forward where it's no doubt he's your guy, and this offense goes as far as he does. Because I think if, he misses any time or struggles a lot, it's not like Tyson Bagent or Case Keenum's going to step in and show like, hey, they're the guy, so he's the MVP, and I think he will take that next step.
I agree 100%. I also have Caleb Williams. I mean, I'm buying a lot of his stock. I'm taking him a ton of fantasy leagues because I believe with this offense, I mentioned it earlier. Can he be the first quarterback in Bears history with over 4,000 yards? I mean, with his talent, with this receiver core and that revamped offensive line and an offensive mastermind in Ben Johnson, the stars are aligning. I think the Bears will have a 4,000-yard passer in 2025. Caleb Williams,
wow.
The MVP. Yeah, I think it's aligning, man. I really love what they got going on here. All right, the X factor. I mean, it's Caleb Williams, is it not? Do you have anyone else? I think it's Caleb Williams. Are you going to get sacked another 70 times? I
would say it's the offensive line for me, just because of the fact, that it was such a weak point, and now they've gone out and drafted some guys, made some moves in the free agency. So, and obviously all those guys they traded for, actually, I believe. So they need those guys.
They signed Drew Dalman from Atlanta.
They signed him, but
Jonah Jackson and Joe Thuney.
So they're my X factor, is that they can, become a top 10 unit, top 5 unit, and help aid his development, but also, establish the run game, be able to, get DeAndre Swift and some of these backs going. So they're my big X factor, because it don't matter how good Caleb is. If the O-line is like they were last year, it's going to be a rough year in Chicago. So if they can solidify that fixes everything. It all starts in the trenches. I mean, that's just football 101. With a good O-line, you can do a lot with not a lot, but they have a lot. So they just need the O-line to be a good unit, even like top half, it's way better than what they had last year.
It's a good call out. I'm not super concerned because they did add 3 veterans. It's not like they drafted 3 guys. But then again, they also have to gel as a unit. That's very important for offensive line units, is working in unison together, not just being great in your own right and one-on-one pass pro. So maybe it takes some time with a lot of new faces to gel. The other tackle duo is still back. I know Darnell Wright they took very early out of Tennessee a couple years back. So, let's see them gel, right? But I think having these vets should help Darnell Wright take that next step as well at right tackle. So that's a good pick.
Sure.
The rookie of the year, man. Whew. I mean, Loveland, Burden. There's some other guys too. Luke Newman, baby. I know he's not going to start, but, we got to shout out our guy a little bit more.
Good start.
What do you like here?
Yeah, I mean, I'm probably going to go with Loveland here, man. He just seems like the guy that's going to be, he's the first-round pick. He's the new toy for Ben Johnson there. I mean, while I think Komet's going to be heavily involved, I think he could end up being, there's a good chance he's Caleb's number 1 target. I mean, we're just saying, like, is it going to be Burden? Is it going to be Rome? Is it going to DJ Moore? What if it's Loveland, dude? I mean, the dude's a freak as a receiver. He was the number 1 tight end drafted overall. So everyone was like, Tyler Warren's like, clear cut better than him. Like, it's not 1A, 1B, it's like 1 and then 2, where obviously Ben Johnson and the Bears did not believe that because they could have taken Tyler Warren. They chose to take Loveland. So there's something about him so that they love, and they must envision a big role for him. And, we saw what he was able to do for Laporta in his rookie year. And I would say Loveland's a lot more dynamic than Laporta is. So sky's the limit, man. But he's going to have a huge impact.
Yeah, it's a good pick, man. I mean, if you're a tight end, you get picked 10th overall. That means something. You have to have a significant role early on. It's an awesome pick. I'm going to go Luther Burden, although they will run a lot of 2 tight end sets, and that's kind of the thing where it's like when Burden eats, it's because they have 1 tight end in the field or maybe none, and then when Loveland eats, that means Burden's off the field. But I'm going to take it with Burden, man. I mean, forcing a missed tackle on half of your receptions is ridiculous. 4.4 speed. He's so young, got a lot of room to grow. He fits that Amon-Ra St. Brown mold that I think he'll be the go-to guy in the slot on this offense. And look, for me, I think he got held back a lot by that Missouri offense last year. The talent was there. We saw him just erupt in 2023. He's insane down the field. I think he's going to be a really fun piece in this Ben Johnson offense.
Yeah, well, Cook going down didn't help. Like, the backup quarterback was terrible. I remember watching some of their games down the stretch, and I was like, this offense is, like, inept. And the only way they could get Burden involved is, like, plays behind the line of scrimmage or, like, plays barely. Like, he wasn't even going, like, 5 yards downfield every route he was running. I was like, geez.
I know. It's tough because he's such a good downfield threat, man. Really, really held them back. And maybe that's part of the reason why he wasn't, which you never want to say this about a player. Maybe he wasn't as bought in or on the team. His role was not as high as it was the year before. He was frustrated. Like, hopefully Luther Burden lives up to what I'm saying because I got him in Dynasty. All right. The depoy for this ball club. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Jaylon Johnson. I mean, like I was saying, you could say he's already a top 5 corner. I mean, the guy's been, one of the best corners over the past couple years. I mean, you're saying he had a down year last year. For his standards, yes, I'll agree with you on that. But, I mean, dude is just a beast. I mean, he's been a multi-time Pro Bowler. He's gotten the second-team All-Pro. But I'd like to see him get that first-team All-Pro this year. Like, go out there and get it. We like you said when we were talking about the Jets and Sauce Gardner, Jaylon Johnson, why not go out there? We saw Surtain win the depoy. Why not go out there and do it? You know what I mean?
100%. I also had Jaylon Johnson. I'll just play devil's advocate and go with Montez Sweat then in that regard. 5.5 sacks is just not enough for how much they're paying him and what they traded to get for him. We need more from him. The pressure rate would hint that, hey, he was there, just didn't get the job done and get the quarterback to the ground enough. I think he should be a double-digit sack guy for this team. And,
dude, he had more sacks. He had more sacks in 2023 in 9 games with them after the trade deadline than he did last year. So
I know.
He needs to come back to form.
Hey,
I think he will. I agree.
Back too. Was it like the team like with Eberflus and they gave up and it was just a shit show and the locker room wasn't good and a lot of players' performance took a step back? I mean, if we're seeing on the defensive side of the ball 2023 Jaylon Johnson and 2023 Montez Sweat, this is a dangerous team.
For sure. It would be nice to see him get back to double digits and be pushing towards that 15 mark.
Fantasy football, man, a plethora of weapons to choose from. What are you liking?
Yeah, I mean, I like Loveland a lot. I think he's worth a shot. I mean, why not take the shot on the rookie tight end? We've seen I think that narrative's kind of going away where it's like, all right, first round, like tight ends, rookie tight ends are not valuable for fantasy. The past 2 years, Laporta's been great, and then Bowers last year. So definitely think that narrative has changed. For the receiver core, I mean, I have Rome in a couple leagues. I mean, I think where he's going is fine. And, the late fifth, early sixth. DJ Moore, kind of the same thing. I'm cool with it. Like, I don't think you're paying a premium on any of them. Burden, I like more for Dynasty. I don't know how valuable he'll be for redraft this year. I definitely think he's worth, the pick in underdog. It's just a lot of mouths to feed. So I think I'm staying away in redraft, or he may have a breakout in the second half of the year. So maybe somebody drops him or whatnot. And then the running backs, I mean, Swift is a great value right now. If you draft him to be, your RB2 or your flex, because you go wide receiver heavy, that's fine. He's going to be a volume guy. I've taken Kyle Monangai in an unbelievably amount of best ball leagues late just because I think he can take over. And, the difference between, Roschon Johnson is like, I think he'll be involved no matter what. He's just such a big dude. So I think he'll continue to be their goal line back. Because what is he? I'm pretty sure he's like, 6 foot, but he's the 227. So he's the bigger guy out of him and Swift. I don't know Manungai's let me pull up Manungai's stature. Yeah, I mean, he's 5'8", 207, so he's got some weight to him, but I would imagine even if Manungai cuts in the Swift's role, like Roschon Johnson will still be the goal line back because he's just a lot bigger than both those guys.
Yeah, so I agree with you. Like, Roschon Johnson's going to have his role. It's carved out, but I think Manungai could take those like early down snaps away from Swift, which is why I'm staying away from DeAndre Swift wholeheartedly. I mean, pick your poison with the receiver core. I mean, who knows how this thing's going to shake out. Like, I like Burden a lot, particularly in Dynasty. I do have him in best balls as my wide receiver 4 or 5, which if he's going to erupt in the slot like St. Brown did early on with Ben Johnson, then it could be a potential league winner. But, of course, there's inherent risk with that because in 2 wide receiver sets, you're going to imagine it's going to be DJ Moore and Rome Odunze out wide. I do like Odunze. It's just tough. Like, I don't want to have him in my starting lineup per se, but if he's on my bench, I think, you know what, that could be a guy that can do a lot of damage for you. Loveland, I also like. I mean, I think you've taken him 10th overall for a reason. The way Ben Johnson runs his offense, he's going to have a big role. And also Caleb Williams. I'm taking in a ton of best ball. Like, I have a draft tonight, and I am planning on Caleb Williams being my QB1, and I'm going to wait on quarterback because, as I mentioned, I think he's throwing for 4,000 yards this year. Sacks will go down with a better offensive line. Ben Johnson is going to do insane things for this team, and particularly this offense and Caleb Williams. So I'm all over Caleb Williams this year as well.
Hey, I love it. I love it, dude. I'm all on Caleb Williams, too. Love to see the rushing go up a little bit more, too.
Yeah, use those legs.
I'm sure they'll scheme up some stuff for him. Johnson's
instead of running backwards, avoiding sacks, let's, run forwards and pick up some first downs, maybe some touchdowns. That'd be great. Bears fans, hopefully you're happy with our analysis and breakdown. Reagan with 9 and 8, me 8 and 9. Definitely a step forward. But hey, maybe you're pissed at us because we don't have them in the playoffs. Let us know. We'd love to hear from you. And from your entire wide receiver core and all these weapons, which one are you banking on to emerge from the pack? We'd love to hear from you. Hit a like, hit a comment. We'll catch you soon on Around the Felt.
Hey, and check out that Luke Newman interview. Come on, go listen to it. Go listen to one of your future building blocks on that offensive line. Great interview. Great interview.